Hello, darling viewers. It's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing The Martian by Andy Weir. This is a sci-fi story about Mark Watney who gets trapped on Mars, basically. So Mark Watney is an astronaut, and he's on one of the first manned missions to Mars, and he is part of a crew of 6, and there is a massive, massive storm that hits their base, and they need to leave really quickly. And Mark gets hit and it knocks out his biosigns, so his teammates think that he's died. Mark goes unconscious and can't respond to them, and the machine, the actual readouts are not being sent, so they think Mark's died, and they hightail it out of there so that all 6 of them don't end up dying, which is totally understandable, but it means that Mark Watney gets left on Mars, and he's not actually dead. Oops. So the entire book is about Mark Watney trying not to die on Mars, and it's actually really funny. I was not expecting this to be as funny as it was, but it is. His sense of humor is amazing. So most of the book is narrated by Mark Watney, as he basically does journal entries every day to talk about what happened, and it's kind of his way of keeping his sanity. And so some of it is really self-depreciating humor, and some of it is just trying not to freak out and cry. If you do not laugh about everything that is happening, you're not going to survive. So basically this is just one situation after another where something bad goes wrong, Mark fixes it, something else goes wrong, Mark has to fix that, and just for the entire book. I actually really enjoy this. I know it doesn't sound that interesting, but it's amazing. So it's kind of the resiliency of the human spirit, as we a basic survival story, but kick that up a notch on Mars and being the only person there. It's really cool to see Mark kind of realize all the firsts he's done. He's the first person to spend any extended period of time on Mars. He's the first person to go to each of these places. He becomes a space pirate as he figures out that actually he's going across international waters as he's traveling from base camp to base camp, so that makes him a pirate. And it's I love Mark's sense of humor and the way that he sees everything, and that's awesome. Also, how can you not relate to not wanting to die? Just that's part, I think it's just universal. We are always going to be trying to figure out how to keep shelter, how to keep water, how to keep food, how to dispose of our waste, and to do it all on a planet that is actively trying to kill you. Pretty much impressive. So when Mark first gets left on Mars, he thinks he's gonna have to wait 4 years for the next Mars missions. He's on mission Ares 3, and Ares 4 isn't scheduled to make it to Mars for another 4 years. And his communications got kicked out with Earth, so he has no way to talk to NASA and tell them that, hey, I'm alive, can you send somebody? Even if they could send somebody, as soon as they get his message, it's still gonna take a year and a half or something for them to get there. It's not looking good. So he's got rations for 6 people for 30 days, and that needs to keep him alive for years. So he's got to do some major sciencing stuff. Luckily, Mark Watney is a biologist and a mechanical engineer, so he knows how to grow things, which is really awesome that NASA sent him potatoes. So many potatoes, just tons and tons and tons of potatoes. I simultaneously love the potatoes and think they're awesome, and at the same time think I'm so sick of potatoes by the end of this book. The second thing is that he is a mechanical engineer, which is really useful when everything starts breaking or you need to figure out how to work around basic survival stuff, like making sure you have oxygen all the time, and making sure you have water to drink, and food to eat, and just making sure that your hab doesn't tear in half, and expose you to the Martian atmosphere that would kill you. So, yeah. Most of the book follows Mark Watney. There are sections in here where it kind of goes to third person, and we just get narrations of what's happening, and we just kind of get this third person look at what's happening on Mars. And there are also scenes that are set on Earth, and we see what NASA is doing and how the rest of the Ares crew, is coping with this, finding out that Mark's not actually dead, and we left him there. Like, that's some serious guilt. I loved seeing all the characters. Mark's amazing. Like, he is definitely the best part of this book. But I also really appreciate everybody who works at NASA. I really love Mindy Park, who is um the first person to realize that Mark's not actually dead. Like, throughout this book, I am like shipping Mindy and Mark as she's like hearing his responses, and she's also got the snarky attitude. And I honestly think that when he gets back to Earth, he should like meet her, and she'd be like, "Hey, I'm the one who figured out you weren't dead," and he'd be like, "Thanks," and then they'd go by each other, like they go get drinks together, and it would just be like this awesome start of a relationship. There's not really a lot of romance in this book, although Mark does talk about how much it sucks to be alone by yourself on a planet for an extended period of time with nobody else around you. And even when they do get communications up and running between Mars and Earth, it's still not like great, and everything is public because it's NASA. So yeah, basic human interactions. The other characters are really cool too. Like, I love his crewmates. I love Commander Lewis and Beck and all of them. They're awesome. And we also get to find out about them not only from seeing them, but also as Mark starts going through their stuff. So at a certain point, he's just bored. Like, okay, I've got the basic survival stuff done. What am I going to do with the rest of my time? And so he starts going through their laptops and their personal supplies, and we get to find out that, like, Commander Lewis is obsessed with disco music, and discovering the crew that way is pretty cool too. Like, what they thought was important enough to take with them on an extended period trip. I like thinking about like what I would bring. I also have a question about why Mark didn't have any personal stuff. Like, he's complaining about Commander Lewis's disco music and somebody else's old television shows that he is watching reruns of. And I'm just like, Mark, what did you bring? What happened to your laptop? Did you not bring music and books and movies? Like, what? Like, did something happen to Mark's laptop specifically? I don't know if I missed that part of this book, or if they were just like, Mark's like, I'm sick of my stuff already, let's go to other people's. Mars really, really wants to kill Mark. Let me just put that out there. All kinds of things happen. Storms, just the basic principles of gravity and travel and heat and cold, and just anything that could go wrong basically happens to Mark in these books. But it's also like this amazing feeling of elation. Like, every time he solves a problem, every time NASA gets closer to getting him, every time something good happens, it feels amazing to read this book and to like feel excited with him. And at the same time, every time something bad happens to him, like majorly invested in that, like, I personally really enjoyed all the science in here, like how he makes water from rocket fuel and the actual science of growing the potatoes, and the other sciencey stuff that goes on in there. There's also references to like going to find Pathfinder. Like, Pathfinder got left on Mars and is inoperable. Like, that's an actual thing that happened in the real world. And Mark goes and salvages Pathfinder for parts. So I liked the fact that they brought in real things and what things in Mars are actually called, and also then extrapolates how we're going to get to Mars. What's an actual Mars mission going to look like? That's really cool and really exciting. There's lots and lots of talk of NASA in here, which I love NASA and just in general the idea of space travel. So there's also this element of like the entire world is invested in what's happening to Mark. Like, the ultimate like focus of all of our attentions are on getting Mark home, and the communication and and like everybody working together to get Mark home. Like, it's not just Mark on Mars, it's everybody at NASA and at the other space groups, which is kind of everybody is invested in this, and everybody's gonna give their all to bring this one person back, which is pretty cool. So guys, The Martian is definitely a 5-star read from me. I totally love it. The movie is also amazing. I actually watched the movie first. It has Matt Damon in it, and so it was just fun to read the book and imagine everything happening in Matt Damon's voice. Yeah, and getting to picture what all these characters looks like, that was awesome too, and how the science actually looks, and the Mars landscape. I recommend the movie is what I'm saying. It's good. It's good. And it is seriously a funny book. It is hopeful and inspiring, and at the same time it's kind of realistic, and yeah, escalated. Everything's escalated. Um and I think we have this collective consciousness of like Mars in particular, like as our closest neighbor. Of course, we are as humans kind of interested in Mars, so that's a part of this book. Mars definitely gets some shout outs in here, even if it is trying to kill Mark. Yeah, the book is funny. It's Mark's humor is amazing, and I wish I could do it justice, but I can't do it justice in this video. But just please appreciate it. Thank you, Andy Weir, for this book. Is what I have to say. Yeah, basically read it. It's amazing. Okay, so peace out. I love you guys, and keep reading. Bye.